So I think we already went over these rules, but just real quickly, we just want to keep yourself on mute. We're recording today's session, so we will have the recording available to you all to not only watch again, but to share with those in your group or community who would benefit from this information. It'll be hosted on YouTube, so it'll be an easy share. Questions, please put them in the chat. Panelists, when they're not presenting, will sometimes answer questions, but most of them will be handled in the last 30 minutes of today's event in the Q&A session. Next slide, please. We do want to do our land acknowledgement. UW Worklife acknowledges that we live and work on the traditional territories of the Duwamish and Coastal Salish peoples, and that we occupy their land. While we recognize that this acknowledgement does not replace authentic relationships with Indigenous communities, we hope that it honors with gratitude the land and the original inhabitants. Today's panelists today, I'm going to let the panelists introduce themselves. Erin, would you like to kick us off?
Oh, and welcome everybody. I'm happy to be here to present some leave information. That's my specialty. The leave team reports up to me in campus HR operations and services.
Thanks, Erin. Kathleen?
I'm Kathleen Healy. I'm a Director of Center Client Relations with Bright Horizons, and I'm here to talk through the benefits that Bright Horizons offers for a parent leave kind of toolkit and some backup care services, and I partner with UW with the Child Care Center.
Thanks, Kathleen. Barry?
Good afternoon. My name is Barry Nemeth, and I am the Director of Benefits here at UWHR. So I will be discussing medical insurance and a few other employer-sponsored benefits that are available to new parents.
Great. And I'm Jessica Cole. I'm the Director for UW Worklife, and I oversee our work-life benefits here in HR. So the panelists did a great job introducing what we're going to be talking about today, but here's our agenda. We're going to be talking about leave options, a very popular topic for this group. Benefits for parents that we want you to know about, some Bright Horizons resources that will be helpful for you, and then all the work-life resources, and hopefully be sprinkling in some tips and tricks as we go through that'll be helpful as you navigate this time. And then we'll wrap up the final 30 minutes for Q&A. Of course, if we don't have questions to fill that space, we'll log off early on this Friday afternoon. But last time we did this, we had lots of questions. So please do, as you go through, put questions in the Q&A so we can organize those and get those started at that last 30 minutes. So we're going to start with Erin. You ready, Erin?
I am ready. All right. Well, good afternoon again. I'm Erin Rice. I'm going to go over in very broad strokes the alphabet soup of parental leave laws and programs that shape your options for this. And again, the leave team that approves and advises on parental leave reports up to me. And if there is nothing else that you take away from my portion of today's presentation, it's that do not hesitate to reach out to HR Leaves at uw.edu to discuss anything that I mention here today. They can answer questions by email, and they are also completely willing to set up a time to talk by Zoom or by Teams if that will help you get your leave questions answered and your leave planned so that you can get on to enjoying being a parent. Next slide, please. Okay. Well, I have some notes that aren't sliding with me. No. All right. Well, it doesn't matter. Shoot. Gosh. Sorry. Bad news first, but it's not really bad. It's just that, as I mentioned, parental leave is complicated by a lot of different laws and policies at play. In fact, fair warning, as you just saw, I might glance off to the side to my notes or to some content to make sure that I answer a question appropriately. I no longer memorize things, I just look them up. The good news is that, as said, we have a team in UWHR that is here to help. Next slide, please. All right. So, as I said at the beginning, my presentation today is broad brush on the leave options to help you start thinking about these questions. How long can I take leave? Do I have to take it all at once? How do I get paid? How do I maintain my benefits? And how do I request leave? Next slide, please. Okay, so staff parental leave. In law and policy, parental leave is composed of two different parts. There's a temporary disability period for the birth mother and bonding time for either birth parent. So for birth parents, we usually say it's 6 weeks for a cesarean birth and 8 weeks for a non-cesarean birth, or as prescribed by the healthcare provider, that period immediately following birth, if birth is the way that you are becoming a new parent. Bonding leave is for all new parents, and it starts after the disability period for birth parents and after birth or placement for non-birth parents. Next slide, please. All right, how long can I take leave? Under UW policy, the union contracts and civil service rules, whichever applies to you. Parental leave is 4 to 6 months, but that depends on which policy or contract applies to you. Again, I don't have these memorized. So if you have a very specific question, you might want to save that for your discussion with HR Leaves. For FMLA eligible parents, that generally means you've worked here 1,250 hours and 1 year prior to your request. The FMLA period, which is 12 work weeks, minus any FMLA you've already used within the last year, runs at the same time as pregnancy, disability, and parental leave. So again, disability period plus bonding. FMLA is not a separate leave period. So if you're eligible for that particular benefit, it's all going to run at the same time. Paid family medical leave, which we'll talk about a little bit more down the line, eligible birth parents can receive up to 16 weeks of benefits, up to 18 weeks if you are the birth parent and you have pregnancy complications, and non-birth parents can receive up to 12 weeks. So that's leave is made up, right, of how long you can be gone from the university from performing your job, and then other things like benefits and pay. So let's move on to that next slide. We often get the question, do I have to take it all at once? And UW parental leave for staff is generally taken as a continuous leave of absence, or if it meets business needs and has the approval of your unit, it can be an intermittent leave or a modified work schedule, or it can be all of the above. You can take some continuous time off and come back on a modified schedule and perhaps use intermittent leave after that. If your leave is also covered by paid family medical leave at the same time, then you can take it intermittently or on a reduced schedule for that next year, sort of without the consideration above. All right, next slide, please. How do I get paid? I think this is where a lot of us want to really know the answer, right? Sure, I can be gone, but what will it look like when I'm gone? How will I pay for those baby expenses? For staff, you are looking at using your accrued paid time off. There is actually a cap on using sick leave for non-birth parents, but it's 16 weeks. So congratulations if you have 16 weeks of sick leave saved up, and that actually will limit you in some way. Otherwise, we're talking about any of your accrued time off and your personal holiday you can use during your parental leave period. During the birth mother or birth parent period, you could use an unlimited amount of sick leave. Again, if you have 8 weeks or more of paid sick leave saved up, that's amazing and wonderful. If you don't, then one of your options is to request parental shared leave. This is only available to staff who accrue, so not generally available for those who don't accrue leave, meaning something that is accrued month by month as opposed to given to you in a bucket at, say, the beginning of your appointment. So shared leave, you can ask for donations from other UW and state employees, and you can do that once your vacation time off and sick time balances are reduced to 40 hours or less. Birth parents can use that donated time during the disability period plus the following 16 weeks. non-birth parents can use the donated time for the 16 weeks immediately after birth or placement. So you can see that there's a lot of different rules for each program. And sometimes you just want to get out that calendar page and start saying, here's where I'll do this, here's where I'll do this. And the leave specialist can help you put all these different rules together. Unpaid time off is also a possibility and can be interspersed in some cases or used alongside the shared leave or accrued time off. All right. Specifically for academic personnel parents, I don't know how many of you are in the Zoom room, but for academic personnel, it's a different policy for the temporary disability period for birth parents. PFML, FMLA, and health insurance benefits are the same rules as they are for staff. For faculty paid sick leave, that is something that applies to the temporary disability period. And for non-medical parental leave, meaning not the temporary disability period, leave without pay can be requested from your department for up to 1 academic year at a time in 2 consecutive years. And one other note is that a non-birth parent, a faculty non-birth parent, can use paid faculty sick leave to care for a birth parent in their temporary disability period. Okay. How do I get paid specific to family medical leave? So paid family medical leave, which I've referenced a couple times already, is a state of Washington program. It started giving benefits in 2020. We really didn't know what a year 2020 was going to be. We thought this was the big deal. So it is a big deal in that it's like a short-term disability policy, but it's from the state of Washington. So it's administered by the Employment Security Department, the same folks who do unemployment claims, actually. And so we don't really control the granting of the benefit, but there are important ways that it intersects with UW practices, policies, and your leave. Basic facts are that it's generally up to 90% of weekly wages, but there is a cap of $14.56 per week. So obviously, whether that's 90% of your weekly wages really depends. During a paid family medical leave, it's the employee's choice whether to use paid time off because this is really important. Employees can receive both paid time off from the UW, whether that's faculty paid sick leave or whether that is your accrued paid leave as a staff member. And you can receive that PFML benefit for the same period. So you could very complicatedly try to work out your UW pay and the PFML and make it equal 100%. But in actual fact, you can get your 100% pay by using sick leave or vacation leave as it applies and get the PFML benefit on top of that. And that is called using supplemental benefits. And we have a whole page or so or more of that on the UW HR website because it is complicated, but it's a nice benefit that, again, has been available only since 2020. Okay. Oh, and I should mention that all of these things have their own rules. FMLA is only if you've worked 1,250 hours during the year prior to your request and have worked for the state for a year. PFML is if you've worked in the state of Washington, not for the state of Washington, but in the state of Washington for 820 hours during the last, it's basically year, but they use a really complicated quarter system. So 4 out of the 5 last quarters. But basically it's 820 hours during the preceding year. What is next? How do I keep my health benefits? Well, Barry's going to go more into health benefits, but it is part of how we keep the medical insurance going is if you've worked for the UW for 12 months and 1,250 hours, sounds like FMLA eligibility prior to taking parental leave, your health insurance benefits continue just as if you were working during FMLA and PFML, meaning you'll still pay the premiums, but your employer part will be covered just as if you were continually coming to work each day. After your FMLA and or PFML is exhausted, because you may be taking a leave longer than your 12, 16, or 18 weeks, Or if you're not eligible for FMLA or PFML, you may be a new employee and you may be new to the state of Washington, then you need to remain in pay status to maintain your benefits. And that looks like either using 8 hours of paid time off or working 8 hours a month. So let's say towards the end of long parental leave, you are feeling great and feeling like this would be worth it to you, and your department has 8 hours a month of work for you, then your benefits will be maintained even though you are past the FMLA period, past the PFML period. Next slide, please. How do I request it? So since UWHR has taken on processing leave for all academic personnel as well as staff, we have combined our forms so that they are user-friendly as they can be for all of our populations that we serve. So I can simply say, complete and submit a parental leave form. And then work with your unit or request in Workday the entire period you'd like to take off, preferably at least 30 days prior to birth or placement, after or as soon as practicable. After approval, you have to enter something to let us know what you're doing with your leave each day of your parental leave. So if you're using sick leave, you will put sick leave on there, or your department will put it on there for you, or vacation, et cetera, et cetera. Parental shared leave, you can request that simply by checking a box on the parental leave form. The same for faculty paid sick leave. Also, just check it off on the box and we'll help you step through that. And paid family medical leave, again, is a state program. It's not the UW. It's not a UW program. However, obviously, it's based on your leave from UW. So what you need to do if you want to take advantage of PFML is to request leave through the university because you're going on leave from us, but then request benefits from the, and benefits, I mean paid PFML benefits through the state, through their portal. And again, there's complete instructions for doing this on the webpage. And they will ask for medical certification, and we cannot share your medical that you give us to take your leave from UW, but they will often accept whatever you've already done for your employer. So you don't have to actually fill out separate medical forms. You can just reuse the one that you use for us, but you do need to apply for leave from the university and tell us how you'd like to use any university benefits, and then apply separately for the state for this state benefit. And we will get notified that you did. All right. And just most importantly, as I said at the beginning, we are here to help step through. I know that was like a whoosh of information at a high level. And so when you get down to pulling out your calendar or pulling up your calendar on your device and trying to make this all make sense for what you need, please don't hesitate to reach out for HR leaves. I realize that it says academic personnel and campus staff. It should also say and student employees for your employee portion of your leave. If we have student employees in the audience, I am not the right resource to talk about leave from your academics or from your class, and those are listed here. So everyone else, we should have a resource for you here. And again, we are happy to help. We do all the medical leaves, so parental leave is more fun than some of the other leaves that we deal with. So please don't hesitate to reach out and let us help you plan. Oh, and there are some of those great resources that we already have up on the web for you. So you can explore on your own and then come back and test your knowledge or fill in the gaps with our folks. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Erin. So much great information. And now we're going to pass it on to Barry, who's going to talk to us about benefits for parents.
Thanks, Jessica. Good afternoon again. Once again, my name is Barry Nemeth, and I'm the Director of Benefits here in UWHR. And we'll be talking about medical benefits and a few other employer-sponsored benefits for new parents. We're going to start off by focusing on the health insurance because that, typically speaking, is the main concern in the benefit sphere of how do I ensure that my new child is on benefits? How do my benefits work? And then we'll work into our dependent care assistance program, some considerations about increased coverages, and then finish off with some discussion on our beneficiary elections. When it comes to health insurance, if you are the gestational parent and you are having a child, keep in mind that your prenatal exams and the birth of your child is covered by your medical insurance here at the university, whether that is through our PEB program or if you are one of our academic student employees covered by the GAPE program. And then once your child is born, that first 21 days of life, your new child, will be covered under your insurance. They won't necessarily have to be enrolled as a separate dependent under your medical insurance, but only for that first 21 days of life. As you're going through those first 21 days, though, you do want to start getting a few documents in order and figuring out a few things with your family in terms of enrolling that child in coverage, because as shown on the next slide, you only have 60 days total to make that choice. So whether you are adding a new child due to birth, adoption, or even a stepchild, you have 60 days to add that child once they were born, adopted, or became your stepchild. So 60 days, 2 months does possibly sound like a pretty extended period of time, but any of you who may have had children already will understand that especially those first 60 days can be very hectic, and they will fly by, and you will be surprised that, oh no, I'm coming up to my 60-day period of time and I forgot to add my child to my coverage. So do start those conversations very early on with your family members with your family in terms of who is going to be the subscriber, who is going to cover the new child. Is that going to be yourself? Is that going to be your spouse? And then ensure that you get your paperwork in order. So, for example, with a newborn child, that can be a birth certificate. With an adopted child, that could be the adoption paperwork showing that the date that you became their legal adopted parent. And then with a stepchild, that would be a few different things. So that would be a birth certificate that shows that your spouse is the parent of your stepchild. And then you would also have to show your connection to your spouse, be that a marriage certificate and proof of financial interdependence, or a marriage certificate as well as proof of same residence. You would have to prove both that you and your spouse are connected, and that your spouse is then connected to your stepchild. So it is a couple extra steps there, but we do have some great resources through our ISC user guides for the addition of a new child. And then with those of you who may be on our GAPE program, you'll be able to work directly with the insurer at LifeWise to ensure that you have everything set up to get your child in order. Kind of going back to something that Erin mentioned, while you are out on your parental leave, if you are not on what we in benefits call a benefits protecting leave, so that is PFML or FMLA, once that is either run out or if you weren't eligible in the first place, you will want to make sure that you are utilizing 8 hours of paid time off to maintain your benefits here at the university while you are out of work. And that is 8 hours per calendar month. So it's not that it necessarily, it's not a 30-day or a 60-day 8 hours that you have to utilize your 8 hours every 30 days. It is, you could apply your leave as the first of every month, 8 hours, and it will just keep on going for you. Moving over, once you have added your new child in that same period of time, it's the same 60 days. So once your child is born, adopted, or becomes your stepchild, you, in that same 60-day window, you have the ability to enroll them in dependent care assistance program as well, or should I say, you have the ability to enroll yourself in the dependent care assistance program to pay for certain items such as babysitting, daycare, summer day camp, because as I'm sure Kathleen will describe further on, daycare is not exactly cheap. So anything that you can do to kind of help yourself out, I would highly recommend taking advantage of that. And the dependent care assistance program is one of those things that can help out. We can go on to the next slide and cover a few more details, but the dependent care assistance program is a pre-tax spending account. And so what that means is that you can elect up to $5,000 per year to go in pre-tax to the DCAP. And what that does is it lowers your personal taxable income. So effectively, you're getting a few more dollars in your bank account versus a few more dollars going to the IRS for your taxes. And then you're able to use that $5,000 to pay for qualified expenses, namely daycare, babysitting, or summer day camp. With that summer day camp, it really is day camp. So the sort of a camp where you drop off in the morning and pick up in the afternoon. It's not an overnight camp. But you can use those funds for that. And that is available to dependents, not just new dependents, but any dependent that you have up to the age of 13. So if you have elementary age kids that are going to summer day camp when they're not in school, keep that in mind as something that you may want to look at during open enrollment every year as an opportunity to contribute a little bit to the DCAP to cover those expenses for you. But when you are making that election, keep in mind that it's a $5,000 per family election. So if you work here at the University of Washington and we have this ability to enroll in DCAP, and your spouse works somewhere else that also has a DCAP, which would also be called a dependent care flexible spending account, you cannot both elect $5,000. In that case, it really is $5,000 for the family. So do keep that in mind in case you have a spouse who's already participating in a dependent care flexible spending account. And if that is something that is of interest to you and you are expecting a child soon, you can find all the instructions on how to enroll through Workday on the ISC's webpage. They have great user guides to kind of walk you through that entire process and show you how to get that benefit enrolled, get that enrollment completed for that benefit. Once all of those considerations are taken care of, you will probably also want to have a sit-down conversation with your family and potentially also a financial professional to make some considerations around your life insurance elections or your long-term disability elections as well here at the university. I'll start with the long-term disability. That is a salary replacement benefit for those individuals who may have a disability that prevents them from working their job for over 90 days from the university. And it can replace up to 60% of your pre-disability earnings as a salary replacement for you. As Erin mentioned, kind of our short-term disability is the paid family medical leave. This would be something that goes into effect after that. And as an aside, for those of you who may be about to go on a parental leave, on one of those prenatal or parental disability leaves, pregnancy is considered a disability for filing a long-term disability claim. So this would also be something that you could tap into while away from work before your child is born. But it is an optional coverage. And so not everybody has elected to participate in long-term disability. So you may want to consider as you are having a child, or if you have already had your child, taking a look at the long-term disability election that you have made and either enrolling in long-term disability or upping your coverage from either 50% up to 60% or from 0 up to 50 or 60% of your pre-disability earnings. And all of that information can be found both on the benefits website as well as the ISC's website. And then the other consideration is life insurance. Once you have added a new person into your family, there are considerations about that you may want to have related to providing for your family in the event that you pass away, and life insurance is that avenue. And so having a conversation with your family and a financial professional in terms of if life insurance is something that you want to consider, and if so, at what coverage levels that you would like to elect, making that decision and then enrolling in life insurance or upping your coverage in life insurance if you've already had it based on your new child is something that I would highly recommend. Both long-term disability and life insurance can be elected at any point in time. There is no 60-day period like there is with the DCAP or the medical insurance. And it's also not tied to open enrollment. So at any point during the year, if you wanted to increase your life insurance or your long-term disability coverage, you could do so, and we can help you in making those changes. The last consideration I would like to bring to everybody's attention is beneficiaries, because very often this is an area that is forgotten in your benefits elections because it's an extra step that you have to go through, and it's an optional step because there are hierarchies in terms of who gets your payouts in the event that you do pass away for your life insurance, for your retirement funds. But my personal point of view is that you should be the one who tells or who dictates who gets the funds from your retirement plan and from your life insurance. And so I always recommend that at any point that there's a life event that you have, whether that is the birth of a child, a marriage, or a divorce, that you go in and you review your beneficiaries, because beneficiaries do supersede a will and a divorce decree. I cannot tell you how often we have run across a situation where a ex-spouse is the beneficiary for a retirement plan, and they are the one who gets the retirement assets, not the current spouse or the current children. So please do keep in mind, designated beneficiaries is the trump card. A will and a divorce decree will not supersede them. So please do review your beneficiaries and ensure that the individuals that you want as your beneficiaries are the ones that are listed on that form. And then you will want to make sure that you review your beneficiaries at your retirement provider as well as the life insurance. So that would be MetLife for the life insurance. If you are a UWRP or a VIP participant, that would be either Fidelity or TIAA, depending on which of those record keepers you invest your assets with. Or if you do it at both, you'll want to update your beneficiary at both. And then if you are in one of the DRS retirement plans, whether that is PERS, TERS, LEF, or the Deferred Compensation Program, the DCP, you'll want to reach out directly to the Department of Retirement Systems to update your beneficiaries with them as well. With that, there are a number of resources available to you. Many of the user guides for adding health insurance, DCAP, long-term disability coverage can be found at the ISC's user guide list at the ISC's website. If you would like to make life insurance changes, you will have to do that directly with MetLife, whereas everything else is done in Workday. And then if you do have any questions, you can reach out to the ISC directly at their Contact Us page. And with that, I think that's it.
Thanks, Barry. Wow, so many good tips and tricks. I really appreciate it. I'm going to pass it over to Kathleen. Hi, Kathleen.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Glad to be here. I know you're hearing a lot of information from both Erin and Barry, but I promise to walk you through the Bright Horizons resources that are available to you, kind of on the tail end, not only the preparation for your leave, but what happens after and those next steps for you. And what access you have to those. So the first one we're going to talk about is the Parental Leave Toolkit, and really how you can experience this tool of resources during your leave, in preparation to your leave, after your leave, and what pieces kind of go along with that. So next slide. So again, it's really personalizing a plan with all the information that Erin and Barry were sharing with you, how you can kind of pull this all together. So not only from a logistical standpoint, but even a personal standpoint of what do I need to talk through? How do I need to plan for myself? How do I need to plan for my family and loved ones? And transition to get back into the workforce. So a place that you're going to stop first is called My Bright Horizons. And this is going to be the single point of access for a one-stop shop for all of the Bright Horizons benefits that you have access to. So the first thing you're going to want to do, it's really important to remember to create your account and to log in and not only register for yourself, but register your family members. And this is the only way you're going to have access to all of these resources. So I encourage you to do this early on, even on a, for 5 minutes, you've got 10 minutes when it's more of the calm before the storm, before a leave, before your life change takes place, because again, you will get caught up in that minutia and busyness and kind of forget. And once you're registered and you register your children, you'll need to update any kind of information overall with doctor visits, immunizations from your doctor's office. There's going to be a lot coming at you. And once you're already registered, this is such a great place to keep that information updated. So when you go into the website and you set up your first registration and your family profile, you'll have a place for each member of your family, and they will have their own profile page. So there will be care counselors that will have information on care recipients or care resources for you. And on these profile pages, you can customize information that would be of interest for that member of your family. So this could mean specific special needs or allergies, bilingual needs, or any instructions that the care counselor can customize for you to make sure you have access to those correct resources. So again, once you've registered all your family members, which is really easy, free to do, you can kind of just sit back and relax and have those resources at your fingertips. And one of the resources is this parental leave toolkit. And once you go to the My Bright Horizons landing page, as seen here, it's just going to be one of the tiles. And you can click into the parental toolkit, and it's got all kinds of resources for you. So planning for the working parenthood, maybe you're thinking about, okay, what's going to happen when I do go back to work? What kind of resources are available? Next slide. And it's really simple in the sense that it just kind of takes you step by step of how to access the toolkit, how to create your own plan and customize that parental leave plan for yourself. The next slide shows, sorry, I don't have my glasses on here, but I think you're looking at when you're ready, so after you're registered and you're ready to go, and you need to start your leave, you just click on this, I'm taking my leave, and you can put in dates. You can adjust those if something comes up unexpected. And it will take you to the next landing page where, again, it's going to create that account for you with very specific information that's catered to you. So just to note this, once you're actually in the parental leave toolkit portal, this is actually a separate account from your My Bright Horizons account. It's still how you access it, but it just takes you to a different portal. So here's just an example of an email that you'll be receiving in communications along the way during your leave. It's going to be in preparation, depending on when you register, of your journey is about to begin or your journey is begun, and gives you a little bit of information. And again, clicks to different resources and tools. And then this is when you are on leave and you want to complete your setup and you got the date all set. You just kind of, again, it's just going to walk you through step by step on how to make sure that you've registered completely for the actual toolkit. This is another example of within the toolkit. On the left, there's all kinds of professional topics and information and articles of communicating with your manager during your time of leave, engaging and managing any stakeholders that you need to keep in touch with, building your professional network during that time. And then again, a set of tools for personal care. Okay, so what are my childcare options and how do I manage all these providers? How do I build my support with other parents that are on leave or families that are on leave? Working out your life balance and what is that going to look like? So there are several different resources available to you. And again, you can just customize to how that will look for you. So then you get to the point of you're coming back from your leave, and now I need to be looking at different options aside from full child care options of full enrollment of backup care. So you have access to backup care through Bright Horizons, and this is also through My Bright Horizons. Go to the next slide. And this is, again, that reminder of making sure that you register in advance of a need, or register in advance on My Bright Horizons so that you have this account. And it's just going to be a different tile within My Bright Horizons. It's going to just be under the backup childcare tile. You're going to select backup care. And you're going to go through and it will walk you through each of these steps. It's going to be reserving of backup care. It will provide you contact information, care recipients, authorized contacts, locations, and there's also a mobile app that you can download in order to book that backup care. So within that backup care, when you're registering, you're going to create a profile for that backup care need. So it's going to ask you to enter your information, the care recipient information, at least one authorized contact for you, and primary locations. Because what will take place then every time you go back to this backup care piece in My Bright Horizons, it will tell you the centers that are available for you for backup care. And your backup care benefits, these are the details about your particular program. Through your UW benefit program, you have access to this annual breakdown as shown here. So if and when you use the program overall, you would have the copays that are listed. The center and the camp copays are on a daily rate, and the in-home daycare, if you go through that option, is hourly. So the in-home generally covers up to about 3 care recipients with 1 caregiver, and there's about a 4-hour minimum, but up to 10 hours maximum for 1 day if you use this benefit. You can request these backup one of 3 different ways. You could use your online UW benefit website. You could use our 24/7 contact center or through our backup care mobile app. So should you need to book any of these, we just ask to cancel your request within 24 hours or 2 business days at the very max before your care. In addition to the backup care, there is also priority access for you as available as a benefit. So it kind of works the same. Next slide. In the sense of locating a location overall within My Bright Horizons. You're going to be going to the quality care for your children tile. And then you can go to the next slide. And then you're going to enter search parameters of what are available. So here are really important, details about your backup care program and how it's customized to you. So through, again, your UW benefit, you have access to the annual uses here if and when you use the program. So you want to make sure that you're putting in a search bar where it would make the most sense for you. You could actually pick up as many as you like just to have and to look at the availability that would be off to the left in your search parameters. And then you can access a curated marketplace for discounts. So we also provide through the Bright Horizons benefit through Sitter City Jovi, Steve and Kate's Camp, Sylvan, different discounts that are available to you from not only day one as a small newborn or maybe a child in older age groups of what types of benefits you might be looking for, whether it's a one-stop sitter situation where you might have your own sitter that had to take a vacation or go on leave and you needed just some backup or you needed some support for Sylvan Learning Center. There's different benefits that you have access to as well. So again, that was very high level. I'm happy to, I know within the Q&A, to answer any questions that you might have. I know I'm thinking off more in the future after your leave, but certainly available at any point to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some resources we'll include in the slide deck, and then you can look back on them. There's some community resources that maybe we don't manage here at UW, but are potentially helpful for you as you're navigating parenthood. And then we have that HR website for the consultants. If we go to the next slide. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of a presentation on the Worklife resources. Kathleen already shared about backup care and our relationship with Bright Horizons. I'll go a little bit into detail about what those mean for you as a UW employee. Go to the next slide. We also have other resources like our childcare benefits. So we have 6 UW childcare centers on campus, including our Portage Bay, West Campus, Laurel Village, and Radford Court locations that are on the Seattle campus here. But then we have our Harborview Medical Center location and our UW Medical Center at Northwest. The 4 centers on the Seattle campus are ran by Haggard Childcare Resources, and they're a Montessori program. They're very high quality, great childcares, and it's a really, really amazing program with great playgrounds. I hope that you'll go tour them. However, they do have longer wait lists. And so if you are anticipating having an infant and you'd like to enroll your kiddo at one of our on-site childcare centers, I would get your kiddo on that wait list, even if you are not sure what the due date is or birth date is, well in advance. If you are planning well in advance and you are not even yet pregnant or ready to adopt, it's still okay to get on the wait list, even if you just have a twinkle in your eye about expecting to have a child, because our average wait list time for infants is 2 to 3 years. So our wait list for preschoolers and pre-K is much shorter. And one of the tips and tricks I'll share is that if you have a kiddo enrolled at one of our on-site centers and you have a baby afterwards, they are then a sibling, and the siblings are the highest enrollment priority for the centers. And so that can help you get that wait list time down. So about the Bright Horizons partnership, like Kathleen said, we've got that priority access to all of the Bright Horizons centers. There's a 10% discount at the partner centers. Just to be clear, this is not at the Bright Horizons centers themselves, but at a partner network that is listed on the webpage that Kathleen was showing you. The backup care benefit is not only for children, but it's also for your adult loved ones, and you get 5 uses per year. You can use that for your maybe a spouse who has gone through surgery or an adult child with a disability. So like Kathleen said, sign up for it well in advance before you need it, because like for me, I'm a parent of 3 kiddos, and we oftentimes don't know when we're going to need backup care. So it can be the morning of that you're trying to get somebody in, or the night before. And I have used the program to get care within 24 to 48 hours successfully multiple times. So another thing is that they do care for mildly ill children. And so if your kiddo is got a cold, then you can get care for them at home so you can get into work. One of the tips and tricks I have for the backup care is, being a mom of 3, there's 3 ways to access backup care. We could go back 1 slide. Thank you. There's the out-of-network, the in-home care, and in-center care. The in-home care, if they send someone out to your home, a nanny, it's up to 3 kids that they can care for 1 use. And so that's a way to get the most out of your uses. The out-of-network reimbursable care, if you're not wanting someone to care for your kid that's outside of your personal network, but you would like to have a friend, family, or neighbor care for your kiddo, then you can use the out-of-network reimbursable care feature, and we'll send a $100 check. Well, Bright Horizons will send you a $100 check to reimburse you so you can pay that person for the care they provide your kiddo, up to 5 uses per year in total. All right, now I'm ready, Sebastian. Thank you. We also get the free Sittercity membership, and that comes with not only we waive the membership fee, but you get unlimited free background checks on caregivers that are applying to your posting. And so that Sittercity membership is great for kiddos, date night, long-term care, short-term care, also for pet care. If you're going to go on vacation, you need someone to watch your pet. That's a great resource for that as well. And then I think we saw on the screen that nanny and au pair discounts. That's another great resource if you're wanting to hire someone in that way. We also have a contract with KinderCare. We get priority access to 7 of their Puget Sound locations, and we get 10% discount at all of their KinderCare locations nationwide. Thank you. I also wanted to share some other community resources for childcare. Childcare is just a tough market. It's hard to find childcare spaces. We know it's a struggle out there. BrightSpark is a great community resource. They used to be called Childcare Resources, and they can help you find childcare that fits your needs, that goes beyond in-center care. Maybe you're looking for in-home licensed family care, or you're looking to figure out how you can get your loved one registered as a caregiver with the state so that they can receive subsidy from the state. BrightSpark knows how to do that all, and they also are very familiar with subsidies and can help you apply for subsidies as well. So they're a great community resource. We also have our Paying for Childcare resource page that breaks down the different subsidies that are available. And recently we released a toolkit that shares kind of all the knowledge that we've put together working in this industry about finding the right childcare option for your family. And it also lists the resources that we're talking about today. And so we'll share this PowerPoint later so you have access to the links that are embedded into this slide. Next slide, please. We also oversee the UW lactation spaces around campus. I would suggest that you begin thinking about the logistics of pumping or expressing milk before you go on leave. See what is your nearest lactation space. Because if there isn't a permanent lactation space that's close to your work, you can set up a private office or a temporary space that that can help, that you can use when you return from leave. But it's nice to have thought about that before you go on leave so you don't have to think about it while you're on leave. This is an image of the lactation station's website. It breaks it down. This amenities and guidelines webpage or webpage. It breaks down all the guidelines that are informed by all of the legislation for lactation spaces. We recently had the Pump Act get approved, I think last year, and all of that's reflected in the guidelines that are here. And then when you click on these individual links, so like the Harborview Medical Center lactation stations, it'll take you to a map and a list of amenities. If we go to the next slide, it'll show what that looks like. And so it shows you a really nice comprehensive map. Our developers did a great job on this. And then it has those lists of amenities at each of those locations, who to contact, what their phone number is and their email, and some of the rules around accessing it. Like a lot of things at UW, it's kind of decentralized. While we host the website, the building coordinator for the building that lactation space is in is going to be responsible for that space. And so we can help you look through this list or reach out to people we know that can help out, but really it's best to reach out to the folks who are listed on this webpage because they'll be able to connect you much more quickly. I also want to talk about the employee assistance program that's available to benefits eligible employees. It does allow for counseling 3 sessions per year per person per incident. And this is for anybody in your household. So it's not only for you as the employee, but it's also for your spouse or anybody who's living with you. They also provide relationship counseling. So this is any time we have a life change, it's a stress event as well. And so we're likely to have some relationship turmoil. And it's nice to know that this resource is there to help you work through those things or proactively while you're expecting, you can start those sessions just to go over some expectations before the event happens. They also have legal services for those of you who are maybe adopting or have other legal matters that are going to be coming up associated with bringing a new kiddo home. They can do 30-minute consultations, unlimited 30-minute consultations, or they can refer you to a local attorney for any longer running or legal needs that require docs to be drawn up, and you'll get some reduction on the fees, up to 25% reduction in fees. They also have financial coaches there. I think Barry was suggesting that folks talk with a financial coach. Your EAP can refer you over to a financial coach who can have those conversations with you. And it's free. This resource is completely free to you. I also want to add, I'm going to touch base back on the counseling sessions. I really want to reiterate, it's 3 sessions per person per incident. So you could have 3 sessions each month for a different issue that's coming up. And so don't feel like you're having to save it for a really important thing. You can use it multiple times. They're not going to stop you from utilizing the service. We want you to be able to get through those stressor moments, or just a moment where you need help figuring things out. Next slide, please. Thank you. Now, this isn't a program that HR oversees, but I wanted to put it in here as a little tip and trick. Some of you ride public transportation to get to work, or maybe you bike into work. And I know as a parent that can feel stressful, like you don't have access to your kids very quickly in case of an emergency. And I learned that there's this emergency ride program through the transportation office, where if you do need an emergency ride home, in the case that you don't have your personal vehicle with you, you can use a rideshare, ride-hail service, Uber, or a taxi up to 60 miles per one-way trip, and transportation services will reimburse you up to 100% of that. The tip is excluded, so you would need to pay for the tip. But it is a really great benefit. It's you can do a 20-minute stop in that 60-mile one-way trip to get a prescription or pick up your dependent from childcare. You can also use this up to 8 times in each fiscal year, so that the program runs from July to June. All right. And I want to put a plug in here for the parenting listserv. Worklife manages. This is a great way to stay informed about the different things that are going on campus, from research studies where you can participate, your kiddo can participate, or to things that are relevant to parents specifically in open enrollment or events that are happening on campus. And if you have any questions for Worklife, here's our email here. We have 2, worklife@uw.edu and childcare@uw.edu, to reach our team.